filled with Russian lies to try and influence all of you during that election. That's what Mueller should really be looking into, but instead, his investigation is now morphed into a Democratic political hit job to remove a duly elected president from office and use the powerful tools of intelligence and the FISA courts to do it. Now, with more damaging information coming out every day, it looks like Special Counsel Robert Mueller and his partisan hacks, they are trying now to change the narrative with their lamestream media friends with selective leaking today. Every one of them is a non-story, not worthy of your attention unless you work for the fake news media. Now, before we get to tonight's new information, remember this. Comey is corrupt as they come. He gave those memos to the Columbia professor for the very purpose of leaking to the press so a special counsel would be appointed, hoping that this would all come to pass. And Comey also reportedly coordinated his congressional testimony with Robert Mueller. That sounds like collusion. And in spite of these facts, the delusional Comey, he's actually trying to fashion himself as a martyr. As he recently tweeted, good to read reports of people standing up for what they believe in. Then he quotes Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Wait a minute. He put the fix in so Hillary wouldn't be charged in spite of the evidence he knew existed. This is an embarrassment, a national disgrace, and beyond laughable. He deserved to be fired. We'll explain why in a minute. And also tonight, we have more evidence of just how fraudulent, unethical, and nefarious Mueller's investigation really is. Now, here are the new texts just released today between anti-Trump FBI officials, which confirms everything we have been telling you. On May 19th, 2 days after Robert Mueller appointed the special counsel, Strzok writes to Page, you and I both know the odds are nothing. If I thought it was likely, I'd be there, no question. I hesitate in part because of my gut sense and concern. There's no big there, meaning Trump-Russia collusion. So you have Strzok. He was a high-ranking intelligence official at the FBI that specialized in Russia, signed the paperwork to start the entire Russian investigation, knowing there's no there. In other words, it's always been a hoax, and this proves it. It was part of an attempt to stop Trump, A, from winning, and then to remove him from office. And if it means breaking the law using the intelligence community, so be it. We never should have gone down this road. And the mainstream media and their hacks in the media, CNN, MSNBC, every broadcast channel, New York Times, Washington Post, they have been giving you nothing but lies and propaganda now for a year. And now those involved, those responsible for crimes that were committed, they are now trying to cover it up. They're not going to get away with it. When all is said and done, this is going to make Watergate look like a kid stealing candy from a store. And as we reported yesterday, 5 months of key text messages are missing between Strzok and Page. Here's what happened during this critical time frame. This is from December 14, 2016 to May 17, 2017. Now, in March, President Trump, remember, he claimed, yeah, they were wiretapping at Trump Tower. We broke that nearly a year ago right here on this program. Then BuzzFeed published, this is during the 5 missing months, the Clinton bought and paid for phony Russian lying dossier. That was in January. All of a sudden, the text stopped. And that was used in part later on to get the FISA warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. Remember that. It was before that. And later that month, former National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, he's interviewed by the FBI. And wouldn't luck have it, it was Peter Strzok who actually was the official that oversaw that interview. And on May 9th, the FBI Director James Comey was fired. And then on May 17th, Robert Mueller was named as special counsel. Now, those are the major events. And how conveniently it happens that the messages, some 50,000 of them, this is the time period where Strzok and Page's messages are missing. And the FBI is trying to blame it on Samsung, who supplied the phones. You've got to be kidding me. It's the FBI that specializes in intelligence and evidence gathering. They can't find the messages? I don't believe that's possible. And given the inherent anti-Trump bias that we have seen from Strzok and Page, they hated Trump. And their involvement in almost everything involving the Russia investigation, well, we must now know what they were talking about during these 5 critical months. The FBI should find those messages, maybe make a call to Samsung, because if you can't get it, I bet they can. Now, there's also a stunning new revelation tonight about these missing text messages. Congressman Trey Gowdy is saying that there is a message between Strzok and Page about deleting these text conversations. You can't make this up for a novel. Look at this new information.
Lay aside this glaring 5-month gap in text that the world's premier law enforcement agency somehow missed. Lay that aside. What we have seen, what Johnny and I saw today, was a text about not keeping text. We saw more manifest bias against President Trump all the way through the election into the transition.
Hatred of Trump, bias against Trump, and not keeping the text messages. Well, that sounds like obstruction of justice. And by the way, it's not the first time, is it, that we've all seen this happen? Every single solitary time the Obama administration and their officials are backed into a corner and in serious legal trouble, all of a sudden, all the evidence just magically disappears. For example, this is their modus operandi. Hillary Clinton, 33,000 subpoenaed emails deleted. And just to make extra sure, acid washed, bleach bit, the whole entire hard drive to make sure the evidence is completely destroyed. And just in case it made it to one of her Blackberries or mobile devices, well, she sends an 8 out with a hammer. Boom, let's smash that sucker. And the only phones they gave the FBI, they had no SIM cards. I'm sure just an accident, right? You believe that? I'll sell you a bridge to nowhere. Then there's also the IRS targeting conservatives. Remember that scandal? The emails from corrupt official Lois Lerner, they disappeared for 2 years. And the IRS claimed at the time they were lost because of a system crash. And we can't forget about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, her IT aide, and the reports of smashed hard drives in his garage. Now, predictably, the aide's lawyer denied it happened. Now, I know this is a lot to take in. Let me slow down here. But there's even more new information tonight we'll be giving to you throughout the hour. According to Congressman John Ratcliffe, Strzok and Page were also talking about, imagine this, a secret society meeting the day after President Trump won the election. Who's in the secret society? Let's see, could it be Page and Strzok and McCabe and Comey and, let's see, Bruce Orr? Could it be Rod Rosenstein? Who else is in the special secret society? Aren't they supposed to be transparent? Watch this.
We learned today about information that in the immediate aftermath of his election, that there may have been a secret society of folks within the Department of Justice and the FBI, to include Page and Strzok, that would be working against him. I'm not saying that actually happened, but when folks speak in those terms, they need to come forward to explain the context with which they use those terms.
As you just heard Congressman Ratcliffe say, there's no concrete evidence yet that the secret society ever met. But here's what we do know. Strzok and Page, and who we think is the deputy FBI director, Andrew McCabe, were meeting about, remember, the insurance policy, just in case Hillary lost the election. It's like dying if you're 40. And all of the other evidence in this scandal points to one simple, fundamental, basic fact. Top-ranking Obama administration officials in the Department of Justice, in the FBI, not rank and file, the top people, protected Hillary Clinton from prosecution. We know that happened. And then they used that phony Russian dossier that Hillary bought and paid for, full of Russian salacious lies, to go after the Trump campaign to try and influence the election. After all, it worked in stealing the primary from poor Bernie Sanders. And as we have now been saying for months, the fix was in the Clinton email investigation. Why? Because they wanted Hillary to run. They didn't want Trump to win. Now, here's why. Another text message from Peter Strzok and Lisa Page appears to show that they and Obama's Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, they all knew that Clinton wouldn't be prosecuted. By the way, before they ever interviewed Clinton or the other main participants in all of this, they didn't do the investigation. Remember, in May, James Comey and Peter Strzok and other top FBI officials, they were drafting the exoneration of Hillary months before they ever interviewed her and 17 other key witnesses. How can you actually exonerate somebody before ever talking to them? That's called the fix being in. That's being rigged. That is corruption 101. Let's take a look at James Comey denying under oath that he reached his legal conclusion before interviewing Hillary Clinton. Now, remember, we have all the different drafts, and his original drafts all pointed to a case of Hillary being guilty as hell. Watch this.
Director, did you make the decision not to recommend criminal charges relating to classified information before or after Hillary Clinton was interviewed by the FBI on July the 2nd?
After. But if colleagues of ours believe I am lying about when I made this decision, please urge them to contact me privately so we can have a conversation about this. All I can do is tell you again, the decision was made after that because I didn't know what was going to happen in that interview. She maybe lied during the interview in a way we could prove.
I'll call you. Can I have your number? I have a lot of questions for you. Sounds to me like Comey lied in that case under oath because we know we have the drafts, how he was exonerating Clinton months before her FBI interview. And tonight, just breaking, Politico is now reporting this hour that Congressman Ratcliffe is saying he wants to interview Comey again under oath about all these inconsistencies in his previous testimony. Let's go back to the timeline. At the end of June of 2016, Bill Clinton decides to meet Loretta Lynch, remember that, on the tarmac for 40 minutes talking about their grandkids. And then on July 1st, Lynch says she's going to step away from the investigation. She will accept whatever the FBI concludes. Remember, she encouraged Comey, it's a matter, it's not an investigation. This is all before Hillary Clinton, 3 days before she was ever even interviewed. That happened on the 4th of July weekend. So after Lynch's statement that she was taking a back seat, Strzok writes his mistress, girlfriend, Paige, timing looks like hell. Paige replies, yeah, that's awful timing. And then later adds, it's a real profiling courage since she knows no charges will be brought. They hadn't interviewed Hillary Clinton yet. 4 days later, they finally interviewed Hillary Clinton on the third day. Then Comey comes out with what he was already writing in early May in his press conference, giving Hillary Clinton a pass on everything. So Strzok knew, Page knew, Comey knew, Lynch knew, and I assume Andrew McCabe knew as well, nothing was going to happen to Hillary because the fix was in. And if Lisa Page knew, then that probably means she was advising Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe. So what else are they lying about? Were they aware the FBI was giving Clinton cover? And if Comey, Lynch, and all these top law enforcement officials knew that this was their agreement, not to go after Clinton because they wanted her in the race to defeat Donald Trump because they know better than you who should be president, then there's a pretty darn good chance that someone in the Obama White House also was doing the wink and nod thing, and they knew the fix was in. In other words, the fix was it. It was rigged. Now there's another component to the story. We have even more breaking news tonight about the effort by congressional Republicans to release the 4-page classified memo. That exposes the FISA abuses against the Trump campaign. Byron York reporting nearly 200 members of Congress have now seen this. And Fox News is reporting tonight that the memo could be released any day now. But we're still calling on you, the American people, once again, call up your members of Congress, demand that the memo be released. Release the memo. Call the number at the bottom of your screen, 202-224-3121. Tell your members of Congress, we deserve to know the truth about what is likely the biggest scandal in American history. There's so much information. There's so many players involved in all of this. Let me tie it together. Hillary Clinton rigged the primary. If you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, you should be pissed. Why you're not, I don't know. Even though there is incontrovertible evidence she broke the law, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Loretta Lynch all put the fix in and allowed her to stay in this presidential race. They ignored the rule of law, the Constitution, and Clinton and the DNC that she controlled then spent over $12 million to influence the election with a bought and paid for dossier full of Russian lies and propaganda that was shipped off to the compliant media. The Obama administration weaponized the powerful tools of intelligence that we need to keep our country safe, but in this case, they used it to target members of the Trump campaign. This, so you understand, is so much bigger than Watergate. It's about our Constitution, about the rule of law. It has been shredded. All because powerful people at the highest level in the DOJ and the FBI thought they knew better than you as to who should be president. There needs to be serious ramifications if we're going to save our country in all of this. People must be held accountable. They must be investigated. They must be indicted, and probably many of them thrown in jail. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan is with us. Fox News contributor Sarah Carter, former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino. Congressman, am I missing anything here?
No, you're not. And the central player in this entire drama, Sean, is the guy you identified, Peter Strzok. The first batch of text messages, he talks about the insurance policy in case the American people make Donald Trump president. This latest batch, he talks about unfinished business. I unleashed it during the mid-year exam, which was the code name they had for the Clinton investigation. Now he says I need to finish it and fix it. 4 minutes after that text message, he sends another message to Lisa Page where he says an investigation that leads to impeachment. If that doesn't go to their entire motive, their entire plan, what they had in store, and the animus they had for President Trump, I don't know what does. And never forget, as you pointed out in your monologue, Peter Strzok was the key guy in the Clinton investigation. Interviewed Mills, interviewed Abedin, interviewed Clinton. He was the guy who changed the exoneration from.
Are we going to get the truth, Congressman, or are we going to get to the 1 yard line and it dies? We don't get it. In other words, we don't get.
You can see it building.
What's
Sean,
that?
you can see it building. Yeah, you can see it building amongst the members of Congress. 200 members of Congress. I've read that memo. Guess what? I bet the score is 200-0 in favor of releasing it, because this is the kind of thing that is so wrong. When the FBI says, think about this, Sean, FBI's investigating you. And you lose important documents, or you lose text messages, or you delete emails.
Bring me a cake with a file, because I'll be in jail. Bring me the cake.
No kidding.
All right, let me go to Sarah
That's
Carter.
what drives Americans crazy.
Sarah, it has been almost a year since you and John Solomon broke the story about the warrants at Trump Tower, the investigation. Look at where we are today. Your thoughts, and where are we going? I hear this is just the tip of the spear.
This is just the tip of the spear, Sean. Look, right now we have Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, but they were reporting to someone. We're focused on them with good reason. But think about the people they were reporting to. I want to know what Andrew McCabe, who's the deputy director, was texting to others, how he was involved in it. James Rubicki, who just left the FBI, and now we know McCabe is leaving in March. There is so much more to this story, and the unmaskings. And Director Brennan, former Director Brennan of the CIA.
Yeah, Samantha Power, unmasking 300 people. Great.
Yes.
Where did
Susan
that power
Rice.
come from?
And, well, yeah, where did that come from? And now she says she told Trey Gowdy that someone signed those unmaskings in her name.
I'd like to know who then.
That.
Let's find out who was impersonating the UN ambassador and that were unmasking Americans. You know, fundamentally, Dan Bongino, I am really, this 5-month gap, this is so much bigger than 18.5-minute gap of tape in the Watergate tapes. 5 months, the most critical time period. With your experience in law enforcement, the Secret Service, the new NYPD, are we able to retrieve those forensically? I don't believe they're lost.
Sean, let me tell you something, and I'm willing to put my credibility behind this on your show tonight. Those messages aren't lost. I absolutely believe this is some kind of a canary trap to out leakers again. We've seen this pattern before. False information put out there to catch people leaking information. We saw it on the Don Trump Jr. WikiLeaks story, with the Deutsche Bank story. We also saw it with the Mike Flynn story. Now, let me just say something to you here. That 5-month period is critical, because that's also the 5-month period where this Logan Act conspiracy, or what I've been calling a reverse engineering of a crime, happens within the DOJ or the FBI. Listen to me. Make no mistake on this. Donald Trump was set up. This was a sting operation the entire time, and this Logan Act conspiracy to hit Mike Flynn on while they were listening to his calls was a legal patina or a cover.
That was a perjury trap. I bet my life on it, and it was illegal, the information they had beforehand. All right, Sarah and Congressman, when are we going to get the memo? When do we get it, Congressman?
I think soon. I'm hoping even next week. I know I talked to Chairman Nunes. He's committed to making sure the committee calls its hearing, has the vote, and then we start that 5-day process. And I believe, frankly, the White House will give us the thumbs up right away. If that passes the committee with a majority vote, I think President Trump will say, let the American people see it.
Sarah, are we
Congressman Jordan, yes. Yeah, he definitely brought up what I was hearing as well. There will be a vote next week. That's what I've been told. And then after that, it goes to the president, and I'm sure he will allow that to go public.
And it's only
we'll get to see the memo.
And I hear there's a lot more even coming behind that memo. To both of you glean that from what you heard. Yes. Okay.
I think there'll be more memos, Sean.
Wow.
Sean, here's the other thing that I think is important. Why didn't Rod Rosenstein, when he testified just last month in front of the House Judiciary Committee, why didn't he tell us they were missing text messages?
Wait a minute, did Rod Rosenstein, exactly, bring him back. And did he extend that FISA warrant? Do you know that, Congressman? Did he extend that?
I can't get into who signed what, and that's part of this. I just can't get into that. But
my guess is he did.
Rod Rosenstein came and testified. He was asked about the text messages because that was the day before he testified was when we got the first batch of the Strzok Page text messages. The FBI turned them all over to the Inspector General.
He went into
Why didn't he tell us that they were missing
office begging not to release any of this that constitutes the memo? Dan Bongino, last word.
Sean, don't discount the name John Carlin either within the DOJ. He knew what was going on here in conjunction with Sally Yates, and this is the connection, I think, to the White House on this. Don't discount that name. He left under very suspicious circumstances.
By the way, that's another point in the timeline, Sarah, I forgot to mention.
Yeah, it is an important point and a crucial point, but I think an even bigger point now is that Radcliffe wants to interview Comey, interview Carlin, interview Sally Yates. Let's find out what was going on with them, and I think we'll start to see the story unravel.
All right, guys, amazing work, all of you. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean.
Release the memo and find the text. All right. Now, when we come back, he was on fire last night. Reaction to my opening monologue. We'll check in with the chief counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice, President Trump's attorney. Jay Sekulow, straight ahead.
I mean, you could start with the secret society. You could end with the missing text messages, or you could start where Senator Grassley, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, said, conclusions first, fact gathering second. That's no way to run an investigation. So I think what
we
you've
have a tape of Radcliffe. I want to show it to everybody.
Yeah, sure.
Because he's asked this question. This is a key moment. Let me go back to this here, and I'll get your response to it.
Director, did you make the decision not to recommend criminal charges relating to classified information before or after Hillary Clinton was interviewed by the FBI on July the 2nd?
After. But if colleagues of ours believe I am lying about when I made this decision, please urge them to contact me privately so we can have a conversation about this. All I can do is tell you again, the decision was made after that because I didn't know what was going to happen in that interview. She maybe lied during the interview in a way we could prove.
Then why did he write an exoneration?
Well, you notice something else he just said? Maybe she would have lied during the interview. In other words, were they trying to set up a perjury trap? So really, you've got to listen to what James Comey just said. First, he said he made the conclusion after the interview, right, which we know is a false statement because he made the decision months before the interview. By the way, it wasn't just the interview with the former Secretary of State. It was also other witnesses that were granted immunity that had not yet been interviewed when he made his exculpatory statement saying that she's not responsible and there's no violation of law months before the key witnesses were put forward or interviewed. Then he said she may have lied during the interview and that would have maybe changed it. In other words, a perjury trap. So this is kind of Washington speak for what? An examination or investigation, Sean, that from its outset, let's look at what has transpired here. Let's put it into a context. Number one, just weeks ago, we had the revelation about the number 4 at the Department of Justice, Bruce Orr, whose wife was working for Fusion GPS with Christopher Steele on the dossier, while her husband was serving as the number 4 in the United States Department of Justice. That's one. Number two, the missing, and this seems to be, I hate to say this, but I've had this experience because of the litigation that we engaged in at the American Center for Law and Justice involving the IRS targeting cases. You had the missing Lois Lerner emails. We get to the point of the case where this is the critical time, the prime time, and what happens? Gone. The evidence can't be recovered. It took 2 years. We won the case. We got the damages. Got the injunction. But yes, 2 years later. So this is a pattern in practice. And then there's no explanation. What is their explanation for this? That the FBI gave out faulty devices and didn't know there was a problem for 5 months? All right. I hope that's not the case, because that in and of itself is bad as well.
So Page
that shows a complete
Strzok,
lack of leadership. Yep.
We know Page and Strzok First of all, we know that he thought there was no there there. That's fascinating considering his position and what he did with Russia. That's number one. They knew the fix was in.
Yep.
They talked about an insurance policy with McCabe. So Strzok, Page, McCabe, Comey, who's writing the exoneration before investigation, and now we see Page saying, well, it's a profile in courage. She knows there's not going to be anything here. So they all knew that there was no shot in hell that there was ever going to be any real investigation into Hillary.
You know, Sean, I said it last night. These aren't investigations. These are political setups. It's a faux investigation. The reality is there's nothing in the investigation that's investigatory. In other words, when you look at what happens, the way it transpires, the missing documents, the witnesses, the statement from Peter Strzok, I mean, that's the classic one, and saying, well, there's no big there, so why am I going to waste my time going on to the special counsel's team, which he, by the way, does a couple days later. So you have all of this back and forth, but realize what was going on. He would have known there was no there because of what? He was on the Russia collusion, so-called collusion investigation from the outset.
So the leak tonight, I want to ask you, and I don't know if you can answer this, that Robert Mueller wants to ask about the firing of Comey and about General Flynn. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'll just give you my take. Never in a million years under these conditions, with his team of only Democratic donors and the track record of people like Andrew Weissman, would I ever let a president ever talk to this man, ever.
So let me just say this. Look, as the president's lawyers, we evaluate the situation, we evaluate the facts, we evaluate the circumstances.
It's a trap. I don't trust him.
Sean, let me respond to you here. I understand what you're saying. But look, as the lawyers, we evaluate the entire matter. I'm not going to disclose what conversations we have or have not had with the special counsel. I will tell you this. This has been the most transparent investigation in history. We have turned over, when I say we, the president, the transition team, the campaign, the White House, tens of thousands, over 100,000 documents. We have had all of the witness voluntarily comply. There's been no assertion before the special counsel's office of any type of privilege, executive privilege, attorney-client privilege, anything at this point. Nothing. So I always ask the question, ask the president about what? That's what you want to know. So, again, I'm not going to disclose the conversations that we're having or not having. We are representing the client's interests. That's what I'll say.
All right, fair answer. I understand your position. Jay Sekulow, thank you so much for being with us. When we come back, former Mexican President Vicente Fox, a Hannity classic shootout is next.
ADT now helps protect your family
And the negotiations with Democrats. Oh, Chuck Schumer went back on his word. Joining us live, Fox News Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry. Ed.
Sean, good to see you. Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader in the Senate, is under heavy pressure from his liberal critics. In their words, he caved to President Trump in those negotiations over the government shutdown. And so what's happening now is the left wanted Schumer to stand strong and keep the government closed until he got DACA legislation. But moderate Democrats facing voters this November felt uncomfortable about a showdown based basically on standing up for illegal immigration. So Schumer gave in. He got a fig leaf from the Senate Republican leader, Mitch McConnell, who agreed to take up DACA legislation by February 8th when government funding runs out again. But there's no guarantee that anything that passes in the Senate will actually be agreed to by conservatives in the House. So while the president and Schumer discussed funding for the wall on the southern border when they met in the Oval Office last Friday over cheeseburgers before the shutdown, the senator is now trying to backtrack.
We're going to have to start on a new basis, and the wall offer is off the table.
If Senator Schumer takes something off the table, I'm sure we'll take something off the table.
Now, Scott Dworkin, an Obama veteran who is also boasting about leading the resistance, is claiming now, quote, Democrats won multiple battles over the shutdown, got chip funded, reopened the government, got a commitment from the GOP on a DACA vote. If they're lying, then the government shuts down again before DACA expires. GOP caved. GOP lost big time. It's time. Hashtag Trump resign. So you can see the approach from at least some Democrats. We won, but if we end up not winning, the president should resign. That's not something that's going to carry the day around here. John?
All right, Ed Henry, thank you. Joining us now, the author of the brand new book, Let's Move On, Beyond Fear and False Prophets. Former Mexican President Vicente Fox is with us, sir. Good to see you. How are you?
Sean, a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you. Well, we've had some fights before.
Oh, we done.
When you were president in the year 2002, you kicked out of your country 140,000 people that entered Mexico illegally. From Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador. You threw them out.
Yes.
And you say if we do that, we're racist and this is unfair and unkind and unjust. You did the very thing you don't want us to do.
No, this is an issue that I agree with you 100%.
So we should kick out illegals.
Wait a minute. Borders must be secure and borders must be safe, and we must keep order like we tried to do with President Bush, with Senator McCain, with Senator Kennedy. We put it together a bill that is presented in Congress and deals with all of these issues.
Why did you call the wall stupid? Why did you give the middle finger, tell Trump to go to hell, F Trump? You've said all these things.
Yes.
Why, if the wall is good, why don't you say, build the wall, like Trump said, with a door, and we can let our friends in, but not the drug dealers?
We're not against the wall. It's good if you want to build a wall. What we're against is Mexico paying for that F wall. Who came with that stupid idea of making Mexico pay for the wall?
Well, he's negotiating. I think he's smart.
Negotiating, destroying the opponent. I know better ways of negotiating. It's a win-win situation where we both can win. But anyway, all of that is dealt in the book on Let's Move Ahead. And it's not a scandal book. It's not a book to confront. It's reasoning ideas, is bringing proposals. That's what you're going to read in that book.
So a wall, forget about who pays for it for a minute.
Yes.
A wall that America builds on the southern border. Okay, forget about the payment. If we build the wall, but I think Mexico I think we should be best friends. I think America and Canada should be best friends. Mexico, Canada, and the United States should all be best friends. Yes. But we need to protect our homeland. And I think you disrespect that.
No, not at all.
I listened to your comments.
Order and security in the border, and I worked 6 years with President Bush for that purpose. We came in with this partnership for prosperity and security. We came out with a NAFTA Plus that included security. So no problem with that. I'm with that. The way to do it, offending, calling Mexicans criminals. I mean, you have.
He never said all Mexicans. He said some. He said some. Be fair.
No,
he said some. Some are murderers. And that's true.
Mexico is sending the worst. And 35 million Hispanics work here and make this country competitive.
Okay, but you want them to become citizens. Now, here's the thing. You agree in the rule of law, right? You're a president.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So if you don't respect American law and you come here illegally, then you didn't respect our laws and stuff. Wait a minute. All these people want to come in. Why don't we give it to the people that do it the right way, respect our laws?
This is not the United States I know. This is not the United States
sure it is.
of the founding fathers.
It absolutely is.
No,
my grandparents, wait a minute, all four of my grandparents came from Ireland.
Yes.
And they came through Ellis Island.
Yes.
They didn't have any money. They were broke. And they came here legally.
Yes.
All we're saying is we're going to be good neighbors. You have to respect our border. Respect it. And respect our law.
Let's work on that. And that's what we did with President Bush, to come up with wise, bright ideas. It's not the stick anymore. That doesn't help the image of United States.
If you want to get along, why do you call the president stupid? He can go to hell. You put your middle finger up. You say, he's an idiot, the effing wall. Why do you say all of that?
Because that's what I.
How are we going to get along if you start saying that?
That's what I perceived from him. I invited him to come.
He went to Mexico. He met with your president.
Yeah, the president. Historical mistake, because that's why today Trump.
Why was it a mistake? You want to talk. You want a solution.
Today Trump is president. and he shouldn't have been. But anyway, that's another
Oh, no,
issue.
no, he should have been, because the American people decided.
30% of the people.
No, excuse me, 40-some-odd%. And that's how our system works.
50% didn't go to vote. 50%
Okay,
didn't go to vote.
how many people vote? What percent voted for you?
30% support for me.
Yeah.
46%.
Okay, same
Very
thing.
low.
You didn't have a majority
Yes,
either.
But I didn't go. I didn't go against opposition. I tried to unite, to work.
Let me just end
together
this on a good note.
To get bipartisan agreements.
You were a lot calmer this time than the last time we had a big fight. I would say we need borders to protect our country.
Agree with.
Okay. And I would say the president's right.
You don't need walls. You need borders.
Walls. You build the wall.
What for? It's a waste of money.
Oh, let us decide what we're going to do. If you say you're not going to pay for it, it's our money.
I tried to.
But here's the thing: we'll build the wall.
Don't make mistakes.
With a big door, and we can all be friends. But America has the right not to let people enter here illegally.
Who is going to pay for that wall and that door?
All right, we'll find. I don't know. Hopefully Mexico, not the United States.
U.S. taxpayer, nobody else.
Okay, so the wall's built with a big door.
Yeah,
and you'd be happy.
Big enough so
you would
that
be
you don't
happy.
have a wall.
You'd be happy with the wall?
With a big door that you don't have a wall anymore?
With a door that people come legally.
I don't mind about the wall being built here. I just try to advise American citizens, my loved country, United States, don't waste your money.
We should all be friends.
That's what we're working for.
Nice to see you. God bless you.
Un placer.
All right.
Bless you.
When we come back, Jesse Waters, Jessica Tarlow, that and more straight ahead.
This is where life expresses itself as an endless flow.
All right, joining us now, the co-host of The Five. It's his world. We live in it. Jesse, how do you do it? You got to do it like...
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
And Fox News contributor Jessica Tarlow. Back to our top story. All right, so we have this 5-month critical gap. Lois Lerner's emails evaporate. Hillary Clinton's emails deleted, BleachBit, and hammers. Just, what's her name? Debbie Wasserman Schultz has an IT aide, broken hard drives, busted up in his garage. You see a pattern here, Jessica, with your side? Doesn't this sound like a cover-up to you? Doesn't your intellect tell you this is a cover-up?
I break so many computers, and not because I'm a liberal.
With hammers?
Not with hammers.
You ever use BleachBit?
No, I have not used BleachBit, and I think you've asked me that before, and it's still the same answer. No, I have never used BleachBit.
No hammers, no BleachBit.
But this doesn't seem like a cover-up to me.
No.
No,
What
it
if Don
doesn't.
Jr.'s emails from 5 months all of a sudden disappeared? Would that be suspicious?
Ding, 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 point for Waters.
I mean,
You
common
can't
sense.
score it like that. It's not a common sense thing. With the number of technological problems that can occur here, why would the FBI, don't you think that the people who took this oath to uphold justice in this
can I just
country
tell you something?
wouldn't
Are they
back
the same,
off of something
are
like
they the
this
same
and wouldn't
people?
get rid of those text messages?
This is the same FBI. Now, we got to go through this. Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, James Comey. Did you ever write do you think law enforcement writes exonerations before investigations? Does that sound normal to you?
We have talked about this, that what they start
Does
to
that
do.
sound normal to you?
Not before I researched it, no.
Listen, we all
But there
know
are a
the
number
fix
of
was
people-
in, Sean. They were going to do a frame job on Trump from the
frame
get-go.
job? What does
These
that
are
look
dirty
like?
swamp cops that came in. They admitted there was no collusion. He joined the Mueller investigation to finish unfinished business that's going to lead to impeachment. That alone, plus the insurance policy
But that's
they
the
took
insurance
out
policy
to
that even-
prevent the
what-
risk of the Trump
what
presidency.
is that insurance policy?
Should tell me and you
And
that
what is
this
this
guy was
secret
completely
society?
crooked, even
All
more
right, I have a
crooked than
point of
Hillary.
agreement. I think
what is the secret
I think you'll
society?
agree on one point. So Hillary bought and paid for Russian lies about Trump. Wait a minute. Forget that part. You can't. Used as the basis to get a warrant on an opposition party in an election year, and then used to investigate and surveil a president-elect. Is there any civil libertarian in you that says this is really bad?
But that isn't the complete story of what went on here. Wasn't it that the evidence, they corroborated a good deal of what's in the dossier?
Nobody, stop.
And
Nobody,
people
wait,
reported-
fact. Nobody corroborated. Glenn Simpson never even tried to corroborate it.
Why are there FBI officials? Let's put aside the idea that they just are out for Trump, because we're not going to say the entire FBI
No
is
civil
out for
libertarian.
Trump.
Corroborate from the dossier.
What?
Who?
What was
Who?
corroborated? You said that
Well,
there
they
was
said-
corroboration.
I've read
What
reports
from the
that
dossier
said-
was true?
Oh, Who? The FBI.
No,
said-
wrong.
No, I didn't even finish a sentence. I just said FBI.
Nobody
I can't be
corroborated
wrong.
it.
That's what it's called.
So you corroborated 2 hookers in the Ritz-Carlton in Moscow peeing
I
in
don't know
Donald
about
Trump's
the pay
bed.
tape. I don't think that has
They
been
also
corroborated.
said Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer, went to the Czech Republic.
Never went.
And his passport shows he never went to the Czech Republic.
I'll leave you 2 guys alone.
What's up, Sean? How you doing?
Do you give up?
No, I don't give up, but you have to let me finish a sentence without getting me all, like, flipped out here. What I'm saying is that the reason that the dossier... we're done.
Hannity hotline ringing off the hook. Our video of